Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Angry and Ornery Show. It's very nice to have our guests here in Second Life watching our show live, which, by the way, you all can do that. Just log into Second Life, contact Zoltan Mint, that's me, and we'll get you here to the studio. You can watch us do this craziness live. Also, we stream this show live on Hitbox, and that is hitbox.tv. I think that's correct. Well, Google Hitbox, you'll find it if it's not. And you can watch the show live there as well. We tape every other Wednesday, generally, as long as there's no issues or problems or holidays or weirdness like that. And it's at 7 o'clock Pacific time. That's 10 p.m. Eastern time. If you can't catch any of those things, you can always watch the recorded show on YouTube. Go to YouTube and look for the Angry and Ornery Show. You'll find it there. And please join that channel if you will. The more the merrier. Love to hear your comments too. You can drop comments there, or you can send email, which you can find those links at the YouTube channel. But one way or another, feel free to contact us, talk to us, tell us what you like, what you don't like, or whatever. We love to talk, and we love to hear from you guys. So, speaking of people we just love to hear from, let's bring out our co-host, Mr. Lionheart Resident.
Oh my God, you've put in new obstacles, there's plants, there's trees, there's presents.
It's because it's Christmas time.
Oh, okay.
Well,
How are you?
We are taping this on December 2nd, but we only have one more show between now and then, and we should point out that our next show will be our annual Christmas show, which will include recommendations of Christmas TV shows and movies that we've grown to love and can recommend just in time for you to gather the family around and watch. Unless you're Lionheart, who really nobody likes because all he plays is horror Christmas shows.
That's not true.
Really?
Yes.
You'll watch Andy Williams or Michael Bublé?
Not Andy Williams, Michael Bublé, yes.
Oh. Well, we have a really cool show today, so I kind of want to jump into it. Why don't we take our seats and have at it? How have you been doing?
Fair. How about you?
Not too bad. Not too bad, I guess. Starting to feel festive, and Christmas is just right around the corner here. So, anyways, we have a really cool guest tonight, and we'll bring her out in a second here. But I just wanted to let you know that I met her on another grid called Virtual Highway, and we actually work for a design team there called Minty Entertainment, and we are producing some pretty cool stuff. Maybe she'll tell us a little bit more about that. But getting to know her there, she and her husband, who's also in our audience, we found out that she has a pretty vast knowledge of British television and movies from the fact that she lived there most of her life. So, Lionheart, I know that you've been a big fan of British television, and
Yes.
so have I. So why don't we get her out here and start talking about this stuff? Everybody, if you please welcome Trixie Noel. We're all fighting to get through and push each other around, and Lionheart will just go out in the audience, and he'll trip over the camera. And
I was being gentlemanlike and moving out of the way.
Thank
how
you,
nice of
Lionheart.
you. Hello, Trixie. How are you?
Hello, I'm very good. How are you?
Good. I'm fine, thank you. First of all, I suppose the audience would be curious by your accent that you were born and raised in Great Britain somewhere.
Yes, I was. Yeah, I was born in Oxford.
Oxford.
And I won't tell you how many years ago, but a number of years ago.
Nice.
But I now live in Michigan.
Oh, cool. And so, if you're not familiar with England, Oxford is near where?
It's about 50 miles from London. Would probably be the best way to describe it for people.
I see. Cool. And you came over here and married an American.
Yes, I did.
How do you like life here in this country?
I love it, actually. I love America.
Yeah.
I like the food way too much. The only thing I don't like is the winters that we have in Michigan, where it's far too cold and far too much snow.
Oh, maybe you should move out to the desert where Lionheart lives.
Well, maybe down the road. We'll see.
All right. Well, you and I have talked, and Lionheart as well, about some of these British shows, and I know that there's a lot to talk about because the library of British shows is quite extensive. But why don't we start with one of my favorites, and I believe it's one of your favorites as well, and that's the Benny Hill Show.
Uh-oh. No, it's true to say it's probably the TV show that most of my American friends ask me about. And it's probably the one that I hate the most. Because that seems to be the one that everybody judges English comedy by.
Right. I knew that going into this interview, folks, and I was supposed to not bring it up, but I had to just to throw her off. But
I look like Benny Hill in real life.
do you I mean, when it was playing in England, was it wildly popular, or did people just go meh?
To be honest, it was wildly popular at the time, but I mean, you've got to remember that's many, many years ago. And to look at it now, it just seems to be extremely sexist, with the dolly birds running around, and it wouldn't be aired today.
Right, and it's horribly outdated too. I mean, just the topics and the things he makes fun of were like
absolutely. I mean, it was good for its day, to be perfectly honest, but it's so old now.
Actually, I do have a show that I wanted to talk to you about, and this is new to me, although it's in its third season. I was able to find the first season on DVD, and we're currently watching it, and I am absolutely entranced, and I'm wondering if you knew anything about the show Orphan Black.
Oh, yeah. Tendrick and I have watched some of those. Yeah, I really like it.
Do you like it? Because
I do.
I'm enamored with the lead girl.
She is a fabulous actress. I can't remember her name.
Tatiana, I can't pronounce her last name, but it's Maslany?
But she plays, I don't know how many roles in that, and she plays them exquisitely because they're all so different, and you can really believe that it's a different actress playing them. She's fabulous.
Yeah, really, and I think the show's won some awards already, but my question is, and remember, I'm only a couple episodes into it, so I don't know all the facts, but filmed in England, but set in America? Is that what's going on?
To be honest, I don't know where it's filmed.
Yeah, it's just kind of weird because she starts with a British accent, of course, and a couple of her friends are British, but then they seem to be in New York City, and then she plays a character who's not British. She throws in an American accent, so I was just really confused on where exactly. Do you know Lionheart?
I have no.
You should watch this show, Lionheart. It's really super good. I highly recommend it.
I believe it's set in America, but I can't really tell you too much because there'll be spoilers. You need to watch more, and it'll become apparent.
Yeah. All right. Good. So it will become apparent. That's what I was worried about.
Yeah.
The second show that we watched, I had a British TV fest last night, and I just wondered what your opinion of Fawlty Towers, John Cleese.
I loved Fawlty Towers. Now that's a better example of British comedy.
All right. I read several reviews that said the British folks had picked it as probably the best sitcom to ever come out of England. Do you agree?
I'd put it up there as one of the top 5, probably, yeah.
Well, why don't you give us a top 5 if you can, or at least a couple that you highly recommend?
Of sitcoms or just general TV shows?
Yeah, let's start with sitcoms.
Oh, difficult. I'm not a big sitcom fan. One that I would say, and it was one I was going to talk about anyway, is it's an older show. It's called Father Ted.
Okay.
And it's when was it? It's around the 1990s, late 90s, I think it was on. And it's really funny. It's set on a fictional island, Craggy Island, and it has these Roman Catholic priests that are rather in disgrace because they've been banished there from their regular places of work, and it's very irreverent, it's very humorous, and it's very off the wall. It's really funny.
Is it dry, which is fairly typical, or slapsticky?
I'd call it more end of the pier sort of humor.
Oh,
So without wanting to mention Benny Hill again, it does err to that type of humor,
okay.
but much more modern and up to date than Benny Hill is.
Well, what I noticed with Faulty Towers is that, and it's not just because John Cleese is in it, which obviously a Monty Python, but it almost has a little feel of a Monty Python-esque genre to it. I don't know if it carries that through all of the seasons or just the first few that I've seen, but did you find that, or am I way off on this one?
I think I think what you might be referring to is the strange situations that he manages to get himself in.
Yes,
It's
yes,
kind of Python-esque,
yes,
but you can see that he got into that situation in a perfectly logical set of
right,
steps. So
right,
it's not surreal in the way that Python is surreal,
right.
but the outcome is equally bizarre.
Right. I mean, I think like maybe the little the sketches, some of the Python sketches, like the argument sketch or the parrot sketch, or whatever. Those, although a bit surreal, could almost be believable, and it seems like it's treading on those waters. But anyway,
Now, Father Ted does have that similar sort of humour in it. And one last thing I did want to mention about Father Ted: are you familiar with Graham Norton, who does
I am.
the Graham Norton Show?
Yeah,
He
talk
actually
show, right?
appears. Yeah, he appears in 3 episodes of Father Ted. He plays a character called Father Noel Furlong,
Oh,
and
how
he's really good.
how is it still on the air? Do you know? BBC
No,
or
it isn't. I think it's on Netflix, and I think you probably find quite a few full episodes on YouTube these days.
Oh, okay, cool, cool. You don't know how many seasons it went by chance, do you?
Oh, a lot.
Oh, okay, so it's lengthier then.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh,
It
more
ran
than
for
a couple weeks.
quite a while.
Okay. Lionheart, what do you got?
One of my favorite BBC shows that I stumbled across not too many years ago. Are you familiar with Hustle? That came out with Robert Vaughn and everything.
Me, no. I didn't watch Hustle.
No,
Oh,
I don't.
you've never heard of Hustle? It's
No.
it's basically it's the original series. It's a British series, and it's what Leverage, the series at TNT, is
Right.
kind of originally based on. It's a group of con artists and hustlers. But what's really great is for some reason they've got Robert Vaughn in the series. I mean, it ran for 8 years, 8 seasons. It ran from 2004 to 2012, and they had a lot of big name guests pop up through over the years. But
Was it
that's
drama
one.
or comedy?
It's drama with a little bit of black comedy mixed in. It's the whole they're conning very very bad people out of millions of dollars. I don't want to say they're like a Robin Hood, keep the money themselves, but it's very good because it's one of those. Even though you know the con is coming and you know that they're going to rip the person off, the way they do it is just always so beautifully executed every single time. And it like I said, it ran for quite a while. It was Robert Glainsler, Robert Vaughn, Adrian Lester was the heavy in it. Great series. I would strongly urge anybody.
Well, speaking of drama, Trixie, I asked to recommend comedy. How about dramas? What would you recommend for a neophyte American to watch?
Drama. Okay. Well, can I recommend a comedy drama? Would that be all right?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay. Are you familiar with The Office, the original Office, written by Ricky Gervais?
Yes. Right.
Okay.
Brilliant.
He's written a comedy drama called Derek. I don't know if you've seen any of that one.
It's new, right? The current one that he's in.
It's fairly new. He plays a character Derek that works in a care home for elderly people,
Right.
and it's filmed in that same mockumentary style that The Office is filmed in.
Right. Isn't it now? Maybe I misread the previews I saw, but is he mentally challenged, or there's something weird about him, right?
Yeah, they never specifically say. I mean, let's just say he's not the sharpest chisel in the toolbox.
Right.
But he's an innocent, and he's a really interesting character. He's an innocent, and he's absolutely got a pure heart. and he's the main character, and it's very poignant, it's very funny, very awkward to watch sometimes, as The Office was, very embarrassing to watch sometimes, but absolutely brilliant. And it's also got.
Office... Please
Sorry.
go on. I'm sorry. Oh, I'm rude. Go ahead.
I was just going to mention it's got Carl Pilkington in it as well. I don't know if you're familiar with the Idiot Abroad series, where Ricky Gervais basically tortures his friend Carl by sending him around the world to film and puts him in all sorts of horrible situations.
Yeah.
Oh, that sounds awesome.
He's the most reluctant travel reporter that there ever was. It's really funny.
I wanted to ask about The Office. Of course, the American version was a huge hit here. Was it as big in England or bigger, do you think?
The English version of The Office was huge.
That's what I mean, yeah.
Yeah.
So, do you think, I mean, it was as high rated as the American version was here?
Oh, yeah. Yeah,
Okay.
definitely.
Because, I mean, I don't think America ever played the British version here. I mean, not formally. I mean, you could get it probably on YouTube and places like that, but...
No, and equally, I don't think they ever played the American one in Britain.
Okay. What some other shows?
Okay, one of my absolute favourites, and it's still a favourite. I mean, it was on, finished airing in 2004, but I still go back and watch it now and again. And that's a little-known comedy show called Black Books. And it's got a bit of a cult following. It was written, and the main character in it is a stand-up comedian, an Irish comedian called Dylan Moran, or Moran, I think you pronounce it Moran. And the other person... So, Dylan plays a character called Bernard Black, who is an antisocial, heavy-drinking, chain-smoking, paranoid person who runs a bookstore in London. And he absolutely detests customers, and he physically abuses and verbally abuses anybody that tries to buy a book in his store. So that's basically the whole concept that it's based on. And then there are other characters that get added into it, and the main other character is Bill Bailey, who is a stand-up comedian and musician, very talented. And he comes in and becomes the sidekick to the main character, to Bernard, and much hilarity ensues. There's lots of physical gags, lots of language-based absurd gags, and it's a little bit like Three Stooges in some places.
Oh, cool.
One of my favourite shows. I love it.
I think one of the reasons why I keep not hearing you properly is because I'm trying to multitask and write down these shows, because I'm going to find these shows and watch them. So instead, let me defer over to Olivia or Chris. If you could write these down for me and give that to me later. Any show she's suggesting we should probably check out. And I encourage the audience, by the way, to, get out of your comfort zone of American TV and grab some of these British shows, because you are going to be so pleasantly surprised on how good they are. It just puts some of our shows to shame here. It really does. So, go on now, Trixie. What's another one?
Another one. Okay. I don't know if you know, in a similar vein, that the Office was there was a British version and an American version. Did you know that there was a British version of Being Human?
Yes.
Oh.
Yeah.
It starts off it's the same, a vampire, a werewolf, and a ghost living together and trying to live as normal a life as they possibly can in society. So it's exactly the same concept. And it starts off very similar, but they do digress towards the end. The English one's got a very different ending to the American one.
So it actually had an ending, though. I mean, the series came to an end, and
yes,
there was
it
a
did.
conclusion. Okay, cool.
Yeah. So that I just thought, people may not realise that there was an English one, and that one's actually it's filmed in some really nice locations in and around Bristol. If anybody knows the area of England, called Bristol in the south, around Clifton and Clifton Suspension Bridge. It's very beautiful, the scenery in that.
Cool.
Worth watching just for that.
And
Could you please? I just wanted to ask her if she would repeat the name of the show you had recommended right before this one for our audience.
Black Books.
Black Books, Chris. Gotcha.
I believe all of Black Books are available on YouTube now.
Cool. All right, go ahead, Lionheart.
Oh no, I was just gonna say it. She was just saying. I think it's weird that when we do an American version of things, you know, British versions not only seem to have better special effects with less budget, but seem to care more about characters. Whereas in the American version, it just kind of went, but you know, and I don't know. There's so much you can do with a story of a vampire, a werewolf, a ghost living together that could be funny or great, but I think the American version is really kind of got watered down and absolutely silly after.
To be honest,
Yeah.
I like them both. I liked both of them for different reasons, the American and the English version. They both had good points.
Let me ask you something I've always been curious about. Perhaps you know the answer to this, but I know that Simon Cowell brought over a huge amount of his game show, reality shows, whatever you want to call them, with American Idol and America's Got Talent and all of these shows. Were basically just cookie cutter copies of the British versions. Were these shows extremely popular in England, and what kind of risk was he taking bringing them to the States?
They were really popular in England. Not with me personally, but yeah, they had a huge following. I don't think he was taking any risk because I don't know how much you know of Simon Cowell, but I think he's a very wise and prudent businessman.
Well,
I
that's
can't
proven
imagine him
by-
taking any risk.
Yeah, but I mean, it just skyrocketed from there because after Idol, then there was You Want to Be a Billionaire, which was also British, right, originally,
Yeah, that one
and
was.
a couple other of the game shows, some that had wild success over here, and almost all, a lot of Americans thought they were American originals when in fact they were 4 or 5, some even 10 years old there in England.
Yeah, and I mean, the Idol one's gone worldwide, hasn't it? I mean, most countries run their own version of it now, I believe.
Same with America's Got Talent. There's Germany's
Uh-huh.
Got Talent and France Got Talent and all that. So, so I'm kind of glad he brought them over here. It's got to be making him tons of cash. Now The Voice doesn't seem like it's doing as well. Or is it The Voice? Which is the one? No, the It Factor, right? Was that the one he did?
Yeah, I wasn't a big fan of that one either, to be honest. But I don't think that's doing so good, is it? Did you say?
No, not here. In fact, is it even playing anymore? I think it's gone. But all right. Anyway,
so.
back to your recommendation.
Okay, here's one for you, Lionheart, because you like horror, don't you?
Oh, love it.
Okay. Now, again, this is a weird, little-known TV show, little-known here. It's listed as a comedy horror. It's called A League of Gentlemen.
Oh, I've heard of it. I've not seen it.
It's very weird. It's got like a very twisted plot, and it's got some very strange characters in it. I'll give you an example. There's a transsexual taxi driver, and there's a family that's obsessed with hygiene and toads.
What?
Yeah. And there's also a xenophobic couple who run the local shop, and if any strangers go in, then they won't sell them anything. They say, no, this is a local shop for local people. That's a phrase they repeat throughout.
Wow.
It's very dark, very strange humor, very twisted. Do you remember the American show Soap from many years ago?
Oh, yes. Oh, God,
Okay.
yeah.
Yep.
Imagine Soap meets Twin Peaks,
Oh my.
and that is A League of Gentlemen.
Wow. So this is not to be confused with the movie A League of Extraordinary Gentlemen.
Absolutely, completely different.
Okay.
Now, is there any series or anything that ran over there that you just don't understand why we idolize it in America, where you think over there it was a complete and utter flop on the BBC, where, like how we were talking about Absolutely Fabulous, how I personally hated it, and I don't understand the connection with it. Is there anything like that other than Benny Hill that you just don't understand why we love it so much, and it might have completely flopped and bombed over there?
Um, Not one that flopped and bombed. There is the one with what's the character name? Hyacinth Bouquet. I'm trying to think of the show. Keeping Up Appearances.
Oh yes,
Oh,
plays
yeah.
on PBS here all the time.
Now that
Yeah.
didn't flop in England. I mean, that was actually quite successful, but I don't think people raved about it quite so much as they seem to have raved about it over here.
Right.
It was popular, but not, wildly popular.
Now is Downton Abbey popular in England? Do you know?
Oh, yeah.
I know it's fairly new. I know the Queen just admitted to watching it, and she loves it.
Yeah, apparently it's hugely popular. Most of my family over there have watched it and loved it. I haven't watched it. It's available on BBC America here, I think, isn't it?
It is, and PBS. The new seasons
Right.
come out within a week or two of each other. I love it. I've watched them all. Matter of fact, where I can't wait till the current season drops very soon. I hope before Christmas. But do you remember the old show Upstairs Downstairs?
Oh, yeah, that was a really
Now,
good one.
isn't that pretty similar? I didn't watch Upstairs Downstairs, but it's got to be pretty much the same plot, right?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, it's very much about the different classes, isn't it?
Right.
The intrigue that goes on with the servants, and the intrigue that goes on with the lords and masters in the house,
Right.
and the points of contact occasionally with the two sets of intrigue.
Right. Exactly. And
Yeah, so it is
maybe
the same story.
Downton is probably a little more better made, I would think, with better sets, better costuming, and all that.
Well,
but-
huge budget compared to Upstairs Downstairs. I mean that was a lot
Right.
of years ago as well. So like the whole style of filming, and the big grand locations and not studio sets. So it's entirely different in terms of how it was made, I'd say. But yeah, pretty similar sort of storyline.
Now, Lionheart had mentioned, is shows that we think are fabulous, not as fabulous in England, and I can't help but mention Monty Python. How did Englanders, or how did the British Isles, for that matter, take Monty Python? Was it just as avant-garde as it is here, or what did you think of that stuff?
Well, when it was first aired, I was fairly young. But my older brother, used to watch it, and I used to watch it with him. And my recollection is that the older generation thought it was terrible.
Really? Like
And the
I mean,
younger,
40s
Go
and
ahead.
50s and older type of people.
yeah, they thought it was really, anarchy and disrespectful, and shouldn't be on the television. Whereas all the young people, like the teenagers and that, loved it.
Was there a drug culture revolving around it?
I'd have been too young to know that then.
The reason why I ask is, certainly the movies when they came out here, there would be midnight showings. I don't know if you were aware of this, but they would play the Holy Grail or Life of Brian or whatever at midnight, and it would be all the potheads would show up, and
Oh,
you
really?
they would be passing joints around in the auditorium, in the theater
So
itself.
we've
and-
heard.
Well,
we've heard.
right. So we heard. But anyways, and it was all about getting blitzed and watching that show and freaking out about the funniness. You'd laugh so hard you'd cry. So do you know if that went on over there?
I don't know. I guess I'd have to ask my older brother
Hmm.
and get back to you on that one.
Because the way I look at it, it's like you guys made it as kind of like a serious comedy. If you follow me, I know that doesn't make sense. But anyways, the fact that it was put out to be just a comedy and nothing more, but it grew into a cult, didn't it?
Well, certainly the movies. I mean, there's cults for just the specific movies. Like there's a Life of Brian cult,
Mm-hmm.
or the Holy Grail
What?
cult now.
Oh,
Isn't there?
the Holy Grail for sure. Here in this country, I actually adapted the screenplay, or the screenplay into a stage play, and we performed it, and it was quite the hit here, and people just really ate it up. So I was a big fan of of Python. So,
Yeah, me too. I love Python.
hmm anyways, Lionheart.
Um, with the we were kind of talking. Why do you think certain things worked like "Hello, Hello" when those came out? Because that was so pushing the envelope. And then you had told me something before the show that blew my mind, which I'm hoping you'll repeat about, where they ended up selling the rights. You know, what made characters like this so popular and sex appeal for this guy who was truly hideous? How is it that British TV, do you think, can get away with that, whereas here it usually falls flat on its face and it's never works out?
I don't know. I think somehow the British seem to be able to get away with a bit more ridiculousness than other nationalities.
It's true. You're absolutely correct.
The reason being, I think, is probably because in something like LOLO, it does poke fun at nationalities and stereotypes. But it also it's not in a racist way, because it equally pokes fun at the British.
Right.
So it's not just poking fun at the Germans during World War II or the plight of the French during World War II. It pokes fun at the Brits that were also, in those situations with them. I think that might be how they get away with it without causing offence. But what has to be said about LOLO, I don't know if people that are watching would know this, Lionheart, but it was done in such a way that people put on stereotypical accents. So the French had a real cartoon accent, the Brits had a cartoon accent, and so did the Germans. But the strange thing is, they actually sold, this is the fact that I mentioned before the show that Lionheart said, they actually sold this show to the Germans. And I can't imagine how they would have dubbed it, how that would have translated to their audience.
Yeah, it's just that blows my mind that ended up happening.
And I really wish I spoke German so I could watch a German episode of it to understand that.
Yeah.
Did that get aired on PBS here? Do you know?
It got aired back in the day a lot. I know that, old-fashioned UHF antennas, but I think it might have been on PBS back during the era of when Are You Being Served and all those were at, like, its
I liked
day.
Are You Being Served, by the way. I really enjoyed that. Maybe I'm alone on that, but I thought it was.
You sure that wasn't just Miss Brahms that got your interest?
Well, there was that.
I love Mr. Brahms.
I wanted to ask you real quick too. What do you feel? How do you like Mr. Bean and his various renditions?
Not one of my favourites. He's fairly popular, and he's very clever. I mean, he's Rowan Atkinson.
Right, Rowan
he's very
Atkinson.
good at the physical humour, isn't he?
He is. It almost kind of Benny Hill-like in a way, but it's very childish. But what is interesting is his shorts, his series, did well, and they were played on PBS and BBC here like crazy. But his movies flop one right after another. I don't think he's made a good movie, has he?
I don't think so. And actually, what I most remember him for is the commercials, the TV commercials he did as Mr. Bean. And I think they were for Barclaycard. I think with the commercial, but they were really funny. They were good.
I think with Rowan Atkinson and Mr. Bean, I think a lot of it has to do with small doses. You can watch something that's a half hour, 20 minutes.
What was his show? Blackadder, right?
He was on Blackadder, also on Mr. Bean, and you could watch it, you could get a little laugh. But if you watched all of Mr. Bean back to back to back to back, you're going to get burned out. You're going to think it's stupid after a while.
I'd agree with that with Mr. Bean. But Blackadder, you could definitely binge watch Blackadder. That's an excellent set of shows.
And that did well, right, on the BBC?
Oh, yeah. I think there were 4 seasons of that. All set in different time periods.
You know what?
Yeah, that's a good one.
We have blown through a half hour like it was nothing, and I seriously think we could talk for about 3 or 4 hours. So we gotta wind this up. But this would not be a serious British show if I didn't ask you about Doctor Who.
Oh, I'm glad you did. Love it. And I've got to mention, if I've got time, Torchwood, a spin-off series from Doctor Who.
Chris likes Torchwood. Okay, yeah, please
It's
do.
fantastic. Torchwood is an anagram of Doctor Who, just to give you that.
Really?
And it's definitely one for the ladies because John Barrowman plays one of the lead roles in it, who I think's gorgeous. So if you like him, watch Torchwood. I call it Doctor Who for grown-ups because it has some more adult themes to it than Doctor Who.
That's the same exact thing I said to him the other day.
What I want to know is Freema Agyeman in it, the companion, Martha.
Is she in that?
Because she was involved with Torchwood.
She pops up later.
Oh, she does? You should know, Trixie, that I'm absolutely in love with Martha. We're on that season 3. Holy cow. What do you know about her? Anything? I mean, she's just...
I can't tell you any spoilers.
She's beautiful and smart, and I think she's the best companion so far.
I'll just say what River Song always says, no spoilers.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I know she does 2 seasons, unless I've been told wrong.
Yeah, she does. Yeah.
Okay.
But seriously, I'm not going to tell you anything because I'm a long way ahead of you on the schedule of that, and I could spoil it for you, and I wouldn't like.
Well, I didn't think anybody would top Billy Piper because obviously I was in love with Billy Piper, but then along comes Freema, and I'm like, all right, forget Billy Piper. This is the new hottie.
Then Zoltan
go ahead, Lionheart.
Diary, a All Girl with Billy Piper in it from the BBC.
Yeah, and Freema hasn't done anything other than some British stuff. I mean, she's done a lot of British TV, but nothing that we would see over here. Like, I didn't know there was a British Law and Order.
Yeah, yep.
You invent that, or did you guys take that from us?
I think we took that from you, but I might be wrong on that one. I'm not sure.
Oh. I
think you had it first.
Yeah, she's in that as a cast member, a regular cast member. But anyways, what else should we know about Doctor Who? If somebody out there doesn't know Doctor Who, has not seen Doctor Who or whatever, what do you think? What's the best way they should get started with? 1960 series, the 2000s?
My goodness, no! I think if they went back to the really old original series, it might put them off because they look old and dated, and they were very low budget. And what we watch these days is worlds apart from that. I'd start with the Christopher. I'm struggling for his name. Help me. Eccleston.
Eccleston, yeah.
Thank you. I'd start with those personally, if you'd never watched any before.
Okay.
Who's your favourite Doctor, Zoltan? I've got to ask you.
David Tennant so far.
Oh, okay.
I think he's. Oh, go ahead.
I was going to say I'm weird and old school. Mine's Peter Cushing. When he did the 2 movies.
Yeah.
He's not a real Doctor. He wasn't in the TV series.
Yeah, right. But it's one of those things. So, but no, Tennant top probably. Then after that,
he's just got such a wily way about him. He kind of reminds me of a ferret. He's just. He's just real. He's mischievous and interesting. And by the way, I just watched the episode of the Shakespeare when they go back and talk to William Shakespeare.
Oh, yeah. I love that.
Brilliant episode. I thought the Mark Twain one was the best, but now I think that is now my favorite because when he's talking to Shakespeare and he's giving him his own quotes, and Shakespeare's going, "Oh, that's good. I'm going to use that." And at one point, he's quoting other authors, and he's like, "Oh, Doctor Who's like, you can't use that one. That's not yours." It's just brilliant. Do you think that Doctor Who's going to be around forever? Do you think they can keep making these, or is this going to come to a halt someday?
I hope it'll be around forever, and I don't see why it can't be. I mean, when you've got time travel in it, you can just keep reinventing things, can't you?
That's true.
So it never gets old.
Well, I heard a review that Doctor Who is to England as Star Trek is to America. Would you agree to that?
It probably is since its rebirth. Yeah, that wasn't true until they started it up again with Christopher,
which would be like our next generation. That pumped a new life into Star Trek. So I think that's what happened. Well, all right. Look,
I hope it never goes away.
We are way over time, and maybe we should have you back because I don't know about you, Lionheart, but I love this stuff.
Oh yeah. Yes.
Well,
Thank you.
Thank you for having me.
Oh well, thank you so much for coming on, and please come back again. And everybody, give Trixie a round of applause, please. I will somehow get out of here without falling through things. Happy holidays to you too, Trixie.
You too. Thank you.
We'll see you over at Virtual Highway, right? What would you like to say about what should they know about Virtual Highway?
It's great. Come and join us.
Absolutely.
That's what I'm going to say.
Right. Just look for virtualhighway.com and log in. It's like SL. You can log in, create an avatar, and we're all over there. So come on over and see us. Good night, Trixie. All right, Lionheart. Good show, man. I got like a list of like at least 5 or 6 new series. Like I've got time to watch them. How are we gonna do this?
I don't know. We need a TARDIS so we can
A
time
TARDIS.
travel.
All right, so
Or we stop sleeping.
You're right. Stop eating, sleeping, showering, that whole thing. Next week, folks, not next week. Next show in 2 weeks, we'll be doing our Christmas show, so you don't want to miss that one. Hopefully you'll come back. Remember, come to Second Life, log in, and find Zoltan Mint, and we'll get you to the studio. Or watch the show live on Hitbox every other Wednesday. And, of course, when it's all edited and nice graphics and things are added, you will see it on YouTube on the Angry and Ornery channel. Anything else, Lionheart? Did I cover it all?
I got nothing.
Okay. Talk to you later. I wanted to do a British accent, but I chickened out. I'm going to do a British accent. All right, good night, everybody. See you in the movies.